In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down the 3 starter decks that you can get in Set 1, The Beginnings. I'm going to be showing you what cards come in each deck and also giving you an idea of what the goal is in playing with each and every deck. With that, stay tuned. What's up YouTube, Tyler here with the KingdomsTCG. I want to thank you for clicking on this video and watching. Please like, subscribe, and just do whatever you want to do so that way you can stay in touch with the videos that I try to post every Saturday and Sunday. Also, there will be links in the bottom included so that way you can go to the Instagram and Facebook and also the Game Crafter. So that way you can also stay in touch and get updates on what's going on and also buy KingdomsTCG products. I'm going to be putting the camera down at the game mat and I'm going to be showing you the contents of each starter deck and again just going over how each deck works. With that, let's enjoy the video. Or I guess I should say, I hope you enjoy the video. Okay, so again, this is the Kingdom of Linford. Like I said in last week's video, Linford is a fast-paced kingdom. They focus on attacking fast, searching through the fortress, and generating magicka to play even more powerful cards. Linford does not maintain a very good board presence, and their health is pretty low, so that is a reason for that. But I guess with that, we'll go ahead and break down the contents of the Linford starter deck, and then also kind of go into detail of what some of the cards do and some general strategies. So firstly, we run 2 frontmans in this deck. Again, I've covered this in last week's video. Has rage, so it can attack twice in one turn if it wants to, and if it goes to the graveyard, it gives you +1 magicka for your next turn. It's a 300/100, and again, just to help teach the game while doing these videos, it is part of the Borum spirit and of the Linford Kingdom, and so there are 2 of those in this deck, in Fortress, I should say. Next, you have Hawk. I covered this in last week's video. Gives a battle card rage, which is super good in the sense of it's essentially doubling your potential attack that you could have with a battle card. So this is a very good card. And then you run 2 of those. Next, you have 2 Lancers. Lancer is a card that helps you search your fortress for a card that costs 3 or less. It's a 700/300, so it is a very effective card to put out in Phase 1. Next, you have 2 Rabid Dog. Rabid Dog is a card with the ability of Rage, only 200 attack and 100 health, but it's enough to do some damage. And it gives you the ability when it enters the graveyard, you can search your graveyard for a battle card of 400 attack or less and call it to the field. You cannot call this card out because then it would just make an infinite loop, which would result in this player never being able to lose. But this is a pretty good card to bring out. This can also be searched through Lancer, which is pretty good. Next, we're getting to the 2 single cards that come for Linford. One is Bar Bouncer. Bar Bouncer is an ultra rare, and basically his ability is that when he is called to the field, his effect I should say, his effect when he's called to the field is that he gets to choose any 2 battle cards on the field and send them back to their owner's hands and combine those 2 attack values to make this attack value. So he's already coming in with a base health of 600, which is super good, and then he could have an attack that's possibly over 1,000, which makes this card just a very, very good Phase 2 battle card. And then you also have Coppersmith. Coppersmith is a Phase 1, cost 3. He has stats of 0/0, so the goal is using this one by paying the magicka cost to attach him to a battle card that you have by giving him +200, +100, and making him that much more powerful. I'll cover the cards in this deck for this, just so that way you guys can all see, but I will not cover them in the rest because they're the same. In all the starter decks, they all have the same neutral cards. So you have 2 Disciplined Soldiers. Disciplined Soldier, phase 2, cost 5, 500, 500. Just a very good neutral card to bring into the field. Abandoned Army is a phase 3, cost 6, 600, 500 neutral card. And if he's on the field by himself, he actually has plus 200, 200. So he's kind of a good card to throw out if you're struggling to draw cards or get any good cards. This could potentially just keep you in the game. And that we have 1 or 2 of these in every single starter deck. There has to be a couple junk cards in the game, and so we do have Captured Slave. Captured Slave is a cost 1, phase 1, 100, 100. Doesn't get much better than that. So that's Captured Slave. You have Silversmith. Silversmith is basically a different version of Coppersmith. He is a cost 1, phase 3, 200, 300. And when he's called to the field, you can give any battle card of your choice plus 100 plus 0 or plus 0 plus 100. So just a pretty good card in general. There is 2 of him in every single deck. Watchmaker is just a very simple draw card. Phase 2 or phase 1 costs 2, 100, 100, but you get to draw a card when you play this card. So it's just kind of a good card to put out just for maybe kind of to take a hit if need be, or to deal just a little bit of damage, but also draw a card, which is very good. There's 2 of those in here. Beast Rider, phase 3, cost 6, and when Beast Rider is on the field, all of your other battle cards have minus 100, 100. And this card is a 700, 600. So he's good on his own, but he can definitely be a detriment to the rest of the cards that are in or on the field. And there are 2 of him in the deck, in every single deck. And then lastly, there are 3 copies of Outpost Tower. Outpost Tower, when you play it, you get to look at the top 2 cards of your fortress, and you get to draw one in your hand and then shuffle the other one back in there. So those are the battle cards. In regards to the spells, each deck features 2 of the kingdom-specific spells. So you have Shadow Confusion for Linford. Target battle card or legend permanently switches their attack and health, and there's 2 copies of that. And then they also have 2 copies of Lost Cause. Lost Cause is a cost 4 secret spell, so this goes in the secret slot, and it says when one of your battle cards is attacked, reveal the spell to destroy the attacking battle card or legend instead. So this is very good because Linford struggles with maintaining a good board presence. This card is what somewhat helps them try to maintain that board presence. And then, like I said, with the neutral battle cards, I'll cover them just for this sake, but I won't cover them for the rest of the deck. Each deck will get a spell called Empower, where you give a card plus 200, 200. Each deck will get a card called Divine Wisdom, which is a secret, which you get to cancel a spell. They'll get a card called Summoner's Call, which, in short, the Magicka cost is equal to the battle card that you are calling from the graveyard back to the field. Each deck has a card called Life, which you basically just get to heal your Sacred for 400 health. And then a card called Block, which is a secret spell where you get to cancel an attack. Each deck has 1 legend. A legend is a more powerful battle card. In this case, Gargath. Gargath is a cost 17. He has Rage with an attack and health of 1,000 and 1,200. But his effect says that when he goes to use his Rage ability, he can attack 3 times with that Rage ability, but he goes to the Forgotten after rather than just going to the graveyard. So that is Gargath the Legend. The Spirit is Isabel. Isabel deals 200 damage immediately to all opponent's sacreds when it is called to the field. For the Impact 2 ability, give a battle card plus 100, and for Impact 8, give a battle card plus 100 and Rage. So definitely a good spell to have. All decks have the same tokens. They all have 1 copy of 3, which gives you 3 Magicka. They all have 1 copy of 1, and they all have 2 copies of 2. I guess I should have put 3 copies of 3 just to stick with that theme. Each deck also has 1 kingdom-specific Sacred, and there is 1 additional one that you can get throughout the booster packs, the Dark Forest. And the Dark Forest just allows you to minus 200 health to this Sacred to reduce the cost of a Linford battle card by 2. So that's a pretty good Sacred card to have. And then all starter decks will have the same other 4 neutral battle or neutral Sacreds, and that is Marketplace, which allows you to draw cards and kind of choose what cards you're putting in your hand. You have Shwal Waterfall, which has turned out to be one of the better Sacreds in the game. Very good for all 3 of the different spirits and the different kingdoms that are affiliated with those spirits. River Blessing, just kind of a good generic card, and sometimes can be useful depending on how bad you are losing in the game, to put it that way. And the Skylight Fountain is a very good card. In reading the stats, you would think that it is best with Estercrest, but it is actually pretty good with all the kingdoms, so definitely a very good card to have. Alright, next I'll go over Furbish. Furbish, like I said in last week's video, their goal in their play style is to hopefully set up good combinations to have some explosive turns. If they don't have an explosive turn, really then what they're trying to do is just try to maintain their ability to stay in the game. So in this deck we have Council Board Member, which I covered in last week's video. Basically gives you the ability to search through your fortress until you reveal a battle card, and if you can legally play it, you can play it. There are 2 of them in this deck. You have Templefield Gardener, which gives you the ability of gift 1, so he gives you +1 magic per turn. And if you happen to be in phase 3 and your opponent is as well, rather than Templefield Gardener's attack and health being 200, you can actually copy the attack and health of any battle card or legend in your graveyard. So definitely a good card if you can play it just right. You have Prison Guard, which you have 2 of them in this deck. Again, I've already covered this card before. Furbish Architect, you have 2 of these cards. He has Silence 1, but he only has Silence 1 if your current sacred card that you have revealed is a Furbish sacred card. And then for the 2 special cards in the deck, you have Furbish Counselor, which I covered in last week's video. A very good card in the game. If you can run 3 of these in a Furbish deck, that is a very good thing. And then you have Furbish Temple Judge, which is a 600/700 with Silence 3. And then when he's on the field, he gives -100/100 to all battle cards and legends on the field. So he's a pretty good card. It can kind of hurt your cards just a little bit, but definitely a very good card for Furbish. Next we have the spells. This is one of the most powerful, I shouldn't say powerful, but the most useful and desperately needed spells for Furbish if they want to stay in the game, and that is Silence, and simply it's just Silence 3. So if you're trying to prevent your opponent from doing anything, you can Silence 3 of their battle cards or legends. You have 2 of those, and then you also have 2 Temple Watches, which Temple Watch is a spell that allows you to bring back a Furbish spell from the graveyard back to your hand. So again, it's kind of trying to help you reuse that Silence spell. Their legend that they have in this deck is called Ancient Priest. I've covered him in previous videos. Attack 1000, health 1200, and basically what you can do with this legend is -300 health to free play a Mrif spell, which Mrif again is that logo from your hand or the secret slot. So Furbish being focused on spells to kind of help them stay in the game, this is very good for them. Then you have the Spirit of Ziljag. When he's called to the field and attached to the sacred, he Silence 4s. For impact 6, you give a battle card +200/200, and then for its impact 8, and you do this before your draw phase, you draw a random card from your graveyard in addition to your normal draw, and then Silence 1. So definitely very good. Again, the tokens, and then its kingdom specific sacred is the Mystic Room with 2300 health, which is the highest health sacred in the game so far, and it has just a very simple ability where for 1 turn you get +2 magicka, so you definitely want to try to capitalize on this when this is played. Lastly is Esther Crest. Again, Esther Crest focuses on maintaining a good board presence and trying to lock up your opponent in hopes that they can slowly nibble away, if you will, at their opponent. So I'll go ahead and break down the contents of this deck for you guys. So they run 2 Esther Crest Soldiers. Esther Crest Soldier costs 1, phase 1, cost 2, a 300/300 with defensive. So just a very solid card for Esther Crest to have in phase 1. There's 2 of them. Pack of Wolves is kind of an oddball card for the Esther Crest type playstyle, but basically when it's called to the field and you enter your attack phase, you create a copy of it. So this is kind of a cheap, wimpy way for Esther Crest to kind of have some sort of firepower. And there's 2 of these in these decks. Surveillance Eagle gives a card defensive, which is very good because that's what Esther Crest centers around. So if there's a card that does not have defensive, very good card to have. There's 2 of those in this deck. You have 2 Defenders, which I covered in last week's video, that takes away a card from your opponent's hand and they have to shuffle it back into their fortress, and there's 2 of those in this deck. There is 1 Tulsa Guardsman, which is a very good phase 2 defensive card, and then you also have Mountain Yeti, which is just their beater for phase 2, which kind of helps them maintain at least an attacking power within the game. For their spells, they have 2 spells, one of them called Threatening Warrior, which is just very simply give a card defensive or +100. So this is just a very good card for Esther Crest, again, to maintain that idea that all their cards are going to have defensive, so you just have this giant wall that you're trying to get over. There's 2 of those, and then you also have a card called Earthquake. Earthquake, very similar to Lost Cause that Linford has. This card is also a secret, and basically when one of their cards with the defensive is attacked, you can destroy that card rather than your card being destroyed. And so there are 2 of those in this deck. For their legend, they have a guy by the name of Esbrook. Esbrook is a cost 15 with bleed, with 1100 attack and 1000 health. And his ability is that when he's called to the field, you get to call back to the field up to 2 battle cards from your graveyard with defensive and whose magic cost is 5 or less each. So if you are running, if you're slowly dying in the game, this is kind of like your last-ditch effort to get back in the game, to bring out not only a very powerful card, but 2 other cheaper cards with the ability of defensive. Your spirit card is Sumirin. His instant is he gives you gift 2 every single turn, so 2 magicka every single turn, and you get to call up to the field up to 2 battle cards with defensive from the graveyard whose magicka cost is 5 or less each. So very similar to what Esbrook has. Its impact 2 is you get to heal your sacred for 100 health, and then for its impact 8 you get to give a battle card +0, +200, and defensive, which is a super good ability. Lastly, for its kingdom-specific sacred, you have the Great Defense Training Ground, and whenever I show my sister the game, she always thinks that these look like little sushi rolls. But that besides the point, basically what this card does is that when applicable, so the moment it can do this, it gives a card +0, +100, which is pretty good. And then what it also says is that any Esther Crest, battle cards or legends with defensive gain an additional 100 health. So this is definitely a very good card for the Esther Crest Kingdom. Now is a part of the video where I like to do a quick devotional just to share something with you that I think is super awesome, and that is my faith in Jesus Christ. For this video, this morning, this afternoon, this evening, whenever you are watching, I'm going to be reading from the book of 1 Timothy chapter 5 verses 1 through 2. I'm going to be putting it up on the screen for you right now. In chapter 5, verse 1 through 2, it says this: "Do not rebuke an older man, but exhort him as a father, younger men as brothers, older women as mothers, and with all propriety the younger woman as sisters." The reason why I wanted to share this verse is because for my last semester in Bible college, we had to pick one book of the Bible to study, in particular to focus on a certain verse or chunk of verses that we wanted to kind of explain what it meant. And so I chose a certain verse in the book of 1 Timothy, and because of that, I had to read 1 Timothy several times every single week, so that way it was ingrained in my mind and I could have all the themes and the ideas understood. In reading 1 Timothy that many times, I got this idea and this sense that in the Christian faith, there should be an extreme sense of familial relationships amongst the body of believers. So what do I mean? Let me de-Christianize, let me take the Christian lingo out of what I just said. What I'm saying is this: when you go to church, you're not going to church to be in this building to do stuff. There should be something that's far more attractive than just being in a cool building that's maybe very modern or whatever. There should be something very evident when people go and see that people just love each other like crazy. They are there to support. They are there to support each other. They are there to uplift each other and challenge each other and grow each other, just like a healthy family would. See, just Scripture lays out what a healthy family dynamic looks like, and that family dynamic gets extended into what church should look like. Church shouldn't just be a time where you're going and just kind of, singled out in your own little cell, where you're not socializing with people and you're not connecting with people, not having community with other people. Rather, Scripture is making it quite clear that it should be a tight-knit group, that those people that you are with should be the most important people in your life. They say nothing is, whatever the phrase is, but the idea of nothing is thicker than blood. And the same idea is with Christian family, is that nothing should run thicker than your Christian family. Nothing should break the bond, the tie of what that is. So if you are involved in church, I want to encourage you and challenge you to look at your relationships with people in church a little bit differently. Look at them as something super important to you and your future. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Stay tuned for next week. Not sure what next week's video is going to be yet, but I'm hoping to start doing some gameplay. I'm trying to work out a couple videos with a couple of my buddies just to see if they have some time to record some games. And again, thanks for watching the video. I appreciate you guys taking your time to watch these videos and stick all the way through it. And I guess with that, you guys have an awesome rest of your day. Thanks for watching.